If you've ever woken up in the morning when nothing is wrong, but you find nothing interesting either, this video is for you. You open your eyes, the day is waiting, but the things that used to excite you just don't. There's no movement towards them. Not dread, not sadness, just nothing. You have a life that works, you do what needs to be done, you show up, you function, and yet something essential is missing. The things that used to interest you don't grab you anymore. The things that used to matter feel distant. Even rest doesn't quite restore you. You're not really overwhelmed, you're not really in a crisis, you're just flat. And many people live like this for a long time. They assume something is broken, that they need fixing, that they need to go back to who they were before. But they're actually misreading this experience. And because of that, they stay trapped in it far longer than necessary. Not because it's incurable or they're doomed, but because it's being read incorrectly. This state is not loud. It doesn't always feel dramatic. It doesn't necessarily feel painful, not in the conventional way, at least. It feels empty, not sadness, numbness, not despair, flatness. A sense of almost distance from life. You're here, but not really participating in life. The world feels muted, as if someone turned the volume down. You keep waiting to feel something again, waiting for interest to return, waiting for excitement to come back online. You try giving it time, you rest, you distract yourself, you tell yourself you just need a break, but nothing changes. And when you try to push yourself out of it, to be productive, to get motivated, to snap out of it, things often get worse. Because pressure doesn't bring life back. It only increases the distance. You don't know why, but something in you can no longer comply. You just can't comply anymore with what is expected. No more living by shoulds, no more just being competent, capable, reliable, no more organizing your life around function instead of feeling. It doesn't feel like collapse, it feels like something essential is missing. And that's why it's so confusing because it looks dark, it feels wrong, but it's not what it seems. It's not a tragedy, it's an awakening of what's true. It's reality trying to come back online. Something real is being misread here, and we need the right diagnosis to understand what's happening. In modern culture, this state is often called depression, and sometimes that word is useful. But very often, that word stops the inquiry too soon. It pathologizes something that is essential to human life. Because what many people are experiencing in this phase is not necessarily sadness. It's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's not a moral failure. It's not that you're broken. What's happening is simpler and more widespread. You've lost contact with aliveness. Modern life makes this almost inevitable. We're trained to override sensation, delay feeling, optimize ourselves, perform consistency, stay productive. We learn early on how to function. Over time, life gets organized around abstractions that are not yours. Goals, metrics, outcomes, roles. An aliveness, that felt sense of being here, of being touched by life, gets pushed to the background. When that happens long enough, the system, your system, doesn't collapse, it goes quiet. And that quiet is often misnamed as depression. This is not personal failure, it's a collective condition. A culture that suppresses aliveness and then pathologizes the result. This is the culture that we live in. Depression is real, but very often it's pointing to something deeper than just chemistry or mindset. It's pointing to the suppression of life itself. Aliveness is not happiness. Aliveness is not just naive positivity. It's not motivation. It's not excitement. Aliveness is truth. Aliveness is presence. Aliveness is contact, sensation, responsiveness. That sense that life is meeting you as you are. The problem isn't that you feel bad. The problem is that you don't feel much at all. Depression in this sense is not excess pain, it's muted life. Aliveness is what was crowded out for whole your life, what was deprioritized, what was never allowed to lead. And this is why advice about just thinking differently or trying harder rarely helps. Because aliveness does not respond to force. It doesn't come back through pressure. It doesn't return through effort. It returns through contact. It returns through sensation. It returns through response. And this is where the shift begins. Something important to keep in mind is that aliveness doesn't come back all at once, especially after decades of conditioning in a way that negates aliveness. Aliveness returns quietly once we make the shift. As sensation before meaning, as movement before purpose. You might notice, for instance, a desire to stretch, to walk, to breathe more deeply. You might feel the sunlight on your skin again, or music landing, or hunger returning, and not hunger just for food, but hunger for life, for experiences. These moments are not insignificant, they're signals, signals that life is coming back online. You don't chase these sensations. You cannot chase them. You don't turn them into projects or goals or achievements. You simply stop blocking them. You let contact happen. And slowly, steadily, aliveness returns. Not as breakthrough, not as a transformation, an overnight transformation, but as a quiet re-entry into life. If you recognize yourself in this experience, nothing has gone wrong. You're not broken, you're not behind. What you're experiencing is not a defect, it's a signal that your old way of being has gone quiet and a new way of being is trying to emerge. A signal that life wants to be felt again. Modern life makes this loss of aliveness common. But aliveness is not gone. It cannot be gone. It's what the universe is made of. Aliveness is already here. It's your job to tune into it. And if this way of seeing resonates with you, stay with this inquiry. Subscribe to this channel. And if you want to follow this work more closely, you can join the newsletter below. This is not about fixing yourself. You've been doing this all your life. It's about restoring contact with life, and you're very welcome here.